Hi everybody, and welcome along to the continuation of this Edith Holden altered file folder that seems to have been making for a whole year at least. This is the front, which we finished. It's got all the tags in and everything. This is the inside, these lovely gusseted pockets and this big bifold tag, which still needs finishing off. And then in the back, which is now open, I've cut along there so it's now open. I'm going to cover these pages with some Edith Holden type paper and then put a little gusset in along there and along there, so we've got a little space in the back down there to put something. And I need to cover that with paper because otherwise you'll see it and it'll look just like file folder, which is not really what we want. So that's the thing that's going to go in there, is the thing that we're going to be looking at today. So I've sort of, this has been the theme of this, I've gone ahead and started, it's pretty much nearly finished actually, the little folio booklet that's going into the back. This is obviously the front page, and that's an Edith. I actually have a CD-ROM that I don't even know what year it's from, but it's got it's got all the images on it that are in the book and loads more. It's perfectly fine for me to use it, read the copyright. So I've printed out from that CD the foxgloves there, as you can see. And I'm also very lucky to have an Edith Holden stamp of the foxgloves, and I'll show you in a minute what I've done with that. Just a little bit of lace, some flowers, and in the back here is a little tag, back so you can journal on it, a little bit of seam binding there, and that's the nettle out of the Edith Holden book, and that just fits into that pocket on the front. Now then, we'll carry on with the outside. This is the back, and it's once again, it's an image from my CD-ROM, but you'll recognise it from the book. It's the lovely big irises, and I've put some Tim Holtz wildflower die cuts down there, and I'll show you how I've done those as well. I've tied just a little bow there in green gingham, which I think goes so well with Edith, and a little label there. It says Chaffinch. It's absolutely nothing to do with irises, but I like it. It says Chaffinch. And here we've got a pocket, and this is an image from Edith. Actually, this is the dog rose image, but these little blue tits, coal tit, and whatever he is, I don't know. He might be a chaffinch. That would be good if he was a chaffinch, wouldn't it? Is stuck onto that pocket, and that's that. That's all of the outside. So I've just attached a little bit of Velcro there. So this is the other kind of outside pocket, because it would go there. And I've put an acetate window in and some dried flowers. And I really like that. It works well for me. I like it. And some trim, and some really, really nice trim there. On the back of there's nothing. It may stay that way, or I may decide to put something in it. I don't know. And here we have the belly band. And this is what I did on the last video that I showed you. I made this writing paper, and I've also now made an envelope to match it. If you want to know how to do this, have a look through my videos. I'll get a playlist eventually put together of all the things that I've done for this Edith altered file folder. But these I think are particularly pretty. I really like these, and I think they're very much in keeping with the whole Edith theme. So there's a couple of sheets in there, goes into the envelope, and in underneath that Tommy took. And what I've done here is I've used a bit of the background card. It doesn't matter, you can use any. And I had some really gorgeous fabric, but I've got hardly anything. This is kind of it. So I ripped down a strip and I've ruffled it and stuck it onto there. It's got bits of purple in it that pick this up really nicely. And I just love it. It's gorgeous fabric, isn't it? I really wish I had more of it. Bought it as a remnant, and that's kind of pretty much all I had. So moving along, this is the centre back pocket. It's made out of the card that makes the front. And I've just put some Tim Holtz stickers on there, butterfly that are fussy cut from somewhere. Might be Artie Mays, it might not, I don't know. Put a gem on there. And then this is an idea from Julie from Camellia Crafts Designs. And it's just, you can see it's like a little jotter, like a little notebook, journal. And I've just taken an Edith word there, black bryony. I think it's a kind of wood, I don't know, whatever, but I've put it on there because it fitted, and I'll show you how to make that too. But if you want to see the original video of Julie making that and putting it in her own file folder, then pop over to Camellia Crafts Designs, and there's a couple of videos there of her showing you how to make something similar-ish to this. So that folds in with the dried flowers and the lovely trim. This comes over and it just velcros down onto there. And I think that's quite a nice little thing, actually. I really like it. I love that back. It's really nice. So let's commence. So I have already cut out my card. Now, I'm lucky. I've got a A3 printer. But if you haven't got an A3 printer, you could use a file folder and use it that way on and cut a slice of it down there. So you would have plenty width then. And I'll tell you the dimensions that I've cut it at. This is to fit in my file folder. I think file folders are pretty much the same size wherever we are. So this size will probably fit into the back of yours, but measure it first. It's best to measure and be disappointed. So I've cut mine at 6 1/4 tall, as it will be now. And I have put the fold lines in at 4 3/4 and 5. So there's 2 fold lines and 1/4 inch apart to give us a little bit of a spine, kind of gusset, so we've got, you know, we can take up some of that thickness. So that's 4 3/4 and 5, and then from the 5 it's 5 1/2 and 5 3/4. And I am left with, on the end, 4 1/8, 4 1/4, something like that. You'll be left with what you're left with, and it doesn't really matter. It can fit in, because that's the side that the acetate flowers go on, so you can fit them in no matter what size you've got, really. And this paper, lovely. It's from the CD-ROM. It's just beautiful. That image of the dog roses in summer is one of my favourite in the whole of the Edith books. I also love the poppies, actually. I mean, well, I like the foxglove. I like them all. I'm just mad about Edith. So let's start with the beginning. So this is going to be our beginning. So what I've done is I've printed out another image, and isn't that wonderful? Because you've got a CD, you can print as many images as you want. And I've cut it down, sewn around it. So I'll ink around that now. Ink, yes, that's what I said. And for this part of the project, I'm actually using tea dye because the bundled sage just wasn't showing up quite as much as I would have liked it to. So I'll ink around here, and then I'm going to stick it onto a slightly larger piece of cream. And yes, I could have printed it out all together, but I wanted it to look like it was an extra bit on top. See what I mean? Looks nice there, doesn't it, with it just being an extra piece. And this is going to be a pocket. So I'll ink around there too. I'm going to run a poll at some stage in my Facebook group. Facebook group, for those of you that aren't already members, is Miss Paint-A-Lot's Junk Journal group. Pop over there. They are the nicest bunch of people you'll ever meet. They're so kind, generous, friendly, supportive, fabulous people. Yeah, I'm going to run a poll to see, you know, when I'm doing a video, does the inking get on your wick? Things like that. So I'm going to stick this down onto here fairly centrally, and that will be our first achievement of the day. Not mine, however. I have been junk journaling and preparing to get this so it looks like it's going to run smoothly. Of course, we all know that it's not going to. But I'd like it to run something like smoothly, because it's getting on for my tea time. And there's cricket on the telly. I don't know what I'm going to do when this cricket finishes. It's the Indian Premier League, and it's fabulous. And I might cry when it's all over. Right, so I've centralised this pretty much as you can. Whoops, come over a bit. Yeah. And stick all that way just a touch. There we are, that's fine. And smooth that down. I always find that the bit outside of the stitches takes a bit more persuading to stick down. I don't know why that is. I have no idea why that is, but it always seems to be that the bit outside the stitches is a bit more reluctant to actually adhere. So give it a good pressing down. Very often, like everything else, your fingers are the best tools. There we go. Right, all right. So I'm going to put this, I'm going to open this up so that you can see the panel that I'm working on. This is the panel here, and I want this about there, because my tag, which I've already made, sewn around and inked around, just put the lid on, that's quite warm in here today, needs to go in all the way. So right, so I need that. I need the bottom to be just 1/8 of an inch above the stitching. It's not going to take much weight, this pocket, really. It's just that the tag, the nettle tag. So I'm not going to put double-sided or anything on it. I think we'll be fine with just Aileen's tacky glue, which has been watered down a little bit to get it to come out of this nozzle. So it's not even full strength tacky glue, but you know, I'm quite confident it's going to do the job. So you want that fairly centralised on that panel and just about 1/8 of an inch up from the stitching, which looks like that, I think. So I'm going to get my dry wipe. I've told you about these before, but if you happen to have missed it, I learnt this trick from Tina at Shabby Dabby Doodah. I'm sure she learnt it from somebody else, but she is the one that I saw using it first, so I'm going to give her the credit. And it's just a wet wipe that's been allowed to dry out. Not a dirty wet wipe. Don't wipe your hands all over with it, or your face, or your back of your neck. It's a wet wipe straight out the pack and dried out, so it's clean. But of course it's completely lint-free and absorbent, so it's perfect. It really seems to absorb that glue in there. Right then, so let's just sort out this little bit of niceness up here, which is just a piece of lace. It's beautiful lace. That's really gorgeous. So I'm just going to pop that there. I don't really want to cover over my beautiful foxglove. So just cut that up there. Don't throw that away. It's perfect for a snippet. And that's going to go there. And the sari silk will go over the top. So this is a case for Fabri-Tac. Bring out your Fabri-Tac. I think that's... anything that has got fabric in it, lace, trim, anything like that, I use Fabri-Tac, and I've never been disappointed, really. It's a good glue. It is amazing how wrapped up in things you get, isn't it? You know, different types of glue, etc., etc. Whoever would have thought it? So let's just pop that along the top there. Don't pop it over the pocket or you won't get into the pocket. So let's make sure that you can still get into your pocket there. and that'll glue itself down. So a little bit of this sari silk. It's a beautiful colour. And just, like I said, don't really want it to go onto the foxglove, so I'll cut it about there. Just going to make a little snip and then I'm going to tear it, and that way you get nice frayed edges which look much more pleasing to my eye. But if they don't look more pleasing to your eye, just cut it straight with a pair of scissors. This is the end that isn't frayed, so I'm just going to fray it a little bit. There we are. Right, now then this, you have a problem with this with Fabri-Tac because the Fabri-Tac will come through and it'll look horrible. So I'm just going to use a little bit of double-sided tape on there. Then we don't have a problem with it coming through. Where's the end? I think it's probably easier if I stick the double-sided onto there first. So just down, just a touch from the top of the pocket and just slightly over the end of the lace is where I'm choosing to put mine. You can of course make your own decision on that. There we are. I love sari silk so much. So there we are, that's that, and you can still see that beautiful lace peeping out underneath. And I'm just going to jazz it up even more by with these beautiful flowers, paper flowers. Thank you, Jean. They are gorgeous. I love them. I don't know if I need 3, but you really should try and use 3 if you can. For some reason your eye likes odd numbers better than even. Yeah, I think that's going to look nice. I used smaller ones on the other one, but I'm going to use those. I like them. And Fabri-Tac will be fine for those because the paper really, but even if you said they were fabric, Fabri-Tac's going to do the job. I'll give it a good press down. And then we've got an interesting bit on the horizon. Oh, that gem's just come out of that. And now it's stuck to me because I'm all... Let's stick that back down. It's a really nice gem as well. I don't want to... Let's just check that the other ones are secure. Yeah. Is this one secure? Yep. Just got one that was a bit loose. And we'll pop that over there. So it's the petals are going over the top of the pocket, but it's not hampering the pocket. There we are. So you can get all the way along there. Right, so I'm just going to put a little dot of Fabri-Tac right in the middle there, and then I'm going to stick my wayward gem back on. Thought it was getting away from me, but oh no. There we are. Lovely. I think they will sit themselves there very nicely. I like that. Right, now then for the well, it's not much exciting about a nettle tag, really. I mean, you know, this is why I made it, because you all know how to make tags. So there's no point sitting watching me making tags. And that's just going to slide down into there. Perfect. That is perfect. And I'm going to punch a hole, and I'm going to use some seam binding, some crumpled seam binding. And I don't really use this very often. But I've just fallen in love with it. Oh dear. So I'm just going to make a mark where my centre is. If you're good at, you know, spotting with your eye where things should be, then that's great. Do that, but I'm rubbish. So I prefer to make a little mark. There we go. And I don't think that I need to put a metal thing around it, to be honest. It's really not going to have too much grief. Now I'm choosing to use pink seam binding here because we've got a bit of a pinky thing going on. I could use green, which would also look nice, but I've decided that pink to complement the foxglove. So let's push that through. And you're literally just making a bow. So with one hole, when you're making a bow, you do that and you fasten your ends on the front. And this stuff, it's incredible. It's so shrunk. When you stretch it out, you've got loads more than you thought you had. So there we are. So a lovely little seam binding bow. So pretty. Got a bit of a long leg. No, it's better. That's lovely. Right, so let's trim that end off there. And this lives to fight another day. So we can pop that in there now. Get it in the centre, that's it. So that looks really nice, I like that, pleased with that. Now then, the other thing that we've got on our front, and you don't have to do this, if you're a watercolourist, I mean, I've watercoloured these foxgloves more times than you would ever believe, but for this occasion, I've used a stamp. Now, if you've got stamps of other flowers or you feel that you can watercolour it, do that. I'm just using a stamp that I've got, and I'll show you what that stamp is so as you can see it in its full glory. It happened to be a set of Edith Holden stamps that I think came free with a magazine back in the day, and Mr. F just happened to find it in a charity shop. I mean, how lucky. So it's got butterflies and dragonflies and birds and all sorts of stuff on it, but this is the one that I've used the most. So there we are, that's the actual stamp. It's really pretty, isn't it? It's gorgeous. And that's, just stamped that out in stone grey. So what I did was exactly that, stamped it out using stone grey as the ink colour, and then I fussy cut it. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is colour it, and I'm just going to get a piece of paper to put behind it so as you can actually see what I'm doing. Right, there we are. So I'm going to use Inktense crayons. I'm using Inktense because they're kind of like watercolours, but easier. So if ever you're thinking of watercolouring or whatever, and you want to sort of step into it, Inktense is the way to go. They're just amazing. They're made by a company called Derwent here in the Lake District, not very far from us. But they're really good. You can also get watercolour pencils, they're nice as well. But these have got ink in them, so they're a bit more dynamic. Okay, so it just really is, with these, just a matter of putting little bits down towards the top where there's more colour. All the way down. And you've got your picture that you've just stuck on as a reference, so you can refer back to that when you need to. So I'm just loosely putting this on. I'm trying to avoid where the green is, and apart from that, I'm just going for it. Just bits of pink hither and thither. Down here. I'm going to come back with a darker one, but we'll just see what happens with this first. So you don't, I mean, it's not even the thing that you've got to concentrate on. It's fun. It's art that's fun, because there's no, you're just using a crayon, just like you'd use a pencil. Right, so that doesn't look anything at all. So I'm just using a water brush, and this is just, it's got a brush at one end, it's got a water reservoir here. You squeeze it first time to get some water to come through the bristles, and that's it. By capillary action, it will carry on working. So I'm just going to go over that ink that I've just put on, just pull it down into the rest of the flower. And it's like magic. It really is. It's like magic. Just moves that ink around. It sort of just brings it to life. It's just amazing. I love it. And if you get to the stage where you've got a bit too much ink on your brush, just get a piece of kitchen towel, wipe your brush off, and you can go back over it and pick colour out if you want to. Anybody that's done any watercolour will know about that sort of technique, but you do not have to be a watercolourist at all to do this. I mean, you just absolutely don't. That's why I've chosen the Inktense. I think it's a great way for people to start. And plus the fact it's like magic. It really is. So I just want to lift a little bit of colour. So I've got a fairly dry brush, so just lift that back up. I love doing this. I really enjoyed doing the other one. Well, actually, truth to tell, I did one at night in front of the telly with artificial lights. And when I saw it in the morning, it was completely the wrong colour. So that wasn't very helpful, really. Right, so there we are. We've got some nice pink going on there. And it's all blended. It looks gorgeous. But let's just, that's the one I've used, so I'll put that there. Let's just get a darker pink, slightly darker one, and just go over the bits that need to be a little bit darker. So there, for example. Just pull that down. I know that some of you will be sitting at home, well, you're probably tuned out by now, thinking, I can't do that. I do junk journals. I don't do this. But it's another string to your bow, isn't it? And it's something that I know if you do, you will love. Because like I said, it's just colouring in like you did when you were a kid. And getting a magic water brush. And just darkening up some of the areas that would be in the shadow, you know, the bits that are underneath other flowers on the stem, they would be darker because they'd have a shadow on them. But you know, if you can't really work that out, look at your original, and it will, all the answers are on there, where you need dark and where you don't. So you don't need to be too heavy-handed with this. They are ink, and they have a lot of pigment in them. And once you've put water over them and it's dried, they are permanent. You can't go back in then and move it around. It's there. It's there for life. So I'm just going to use a very dark one now. But you stop when you're comfortable. They're quite light, those ones at the top. It's a bit of dark down here. This is quite dark. So we're just building up the layers really, bit by bit, as we get more confident, put more colour on. So it's a good idea to always wet these out, otherwise if you've left them as a dry media, when you come back you could put water on them and they'll melt into the water, which is not what you want. So make sure that you've always put water on them. I think these are great for kids, you know, who might want to paint but haven't quite got the confidence, because it's painting but it's crayoning at the same time. It's amazing. Right, there we are. So now we need some sort of definition on the bell of the flower, if you like. So what colour is that? Cherry. Let's go for cherry then. That doesn't need any, that doesn't need any. I'm kind of going against the original Edith here, and you know, who do I think I am? I do not know for going against Edith, but just a little bit of a darker colour in the actual ends of the flowers. Not sure it's quite dark enough. I might come back over with another one. This is the thing, you can do that. And you can be quite lax as well about the way that you actually put your ink down. So I'm just going to go over those with a little bit of a darker colour. Where the stamp is, sometimes it's quite dark as well, so you can't really see the colour. Right, so I'll just wet those out. You can do this with any stamp that you've got. You know, I'm obviously Edith Holden obsessed, but you know, you can do it with any stamp that you've got. Right, so I'm quite pleased with those. They look quite nice. So I'm going to move on to the colours of the leaves. At the top it's quite light, so I'm just going to put this, what's it called, apple green in there. I can move that down with water. And just follow on really. Follow what your picture's telling you. Part of that's light and part's dark, so we'll do that. And you really don't have to be exact, because it's all going to move when you put the water on anyway. So, you know, don't feel that you have to be exact, because you absolutely don't. So this one here is quite dark. I'm just going to put some dark green on there. And there's some dark green up here and up here. Follow on, follow your picture, or what you feel like doing. Okay, and same process as we had before. Get rid of the red or pink off your brush and just wet those, pull them down. Very highly pigmented, that one. Missed that one out completely when I was... It's got green there. Other people that use these ink tins, they grate it. They grate the... not sure what's going on there. That's green anyway. They grate the actual ink, you know, like the pencil lead, as it were, and use it as ink to paint with. They also do blocks of ink tins, which obviously makes grating of it much easier. And very recent, well, within the last couple of years, they've released a palette with ink tins colours, and they're lovely to paint with, they really are. So I'm just going to grab my darker green, put an extra little bit in there, water brush. So keep doing that. So there we are. Now I think I just want, where the white is there, where I've left it round the flute of the flower, I just want a very light pink in there. So I'm just going to go back over it. Let's put some light pink that I can just pull around with my water pen. That's leaves in there. I need some green. Let's just blend that out. Yeah, they look too white when they're still left white, so I just want a light colour. So I'm not being very careful, just something for the water to get hold of, and then I can move it around. Oh, not green on my brush. That looks nicer, I think. And if at the end of it you want to sharpen it all up, I've done this before as well, you can just stamp it again, stamp over it, and it'll define all your lines. If you feel like you've lost your lines somewhere, heaven knows where, if they're falling off the paper. No, if you've kind of gone over things and you're not too happy with it, just stamp over the top of it again and it'll make it all make sense. As it is, I'm quite happy with this. I think it's nice. I like it. A bit of green there that's been missed. Right, so there we are. I think I like that. I'm just going to put an extra little bit of colour in there. It's lying behind that one. Right, okay. I'm very happy with that. I like it. So that's the ink tin situation. Now I'm just going to run the dryer over that, not for very long, it's pretty dry. I mean, there wasn't much water gone on it at all, but just for a second. Lovely. Right, so the next thing I'm going to do, can you guess? I'm going to emboss it. Embossing is my new best friend, I tell you. I don't know how I lived without it. I've gone embossing mad. I've even bought myself a new embossing stamp pad. So that's how serious I am, guys. I spent money on it. So really all you do is push it down into the embossing pad. Make sure you've got good coverage. Sure you know how to do this much better than I do, to be honest. I'm very late to the party on the embossing front. but better late than never, eh? So where's my clear? Here we are. So this is just clear Paper Mania clear embossing powder. I'm sprinkling it on, and I'm sure I'm teaching my granny how to suck eggs. So there we are. Just pick that up. Pop this back into from whence it came. Let's just heat that up. I'm not going to heat it up there. Fold that over like that. Right, let's heat this up and see what happens. It's like magic when it goes, isn't it? Right, so that'll do me for my first pass, but I'm going to have another go. Actually, that bit up there hasn't gone yet. That's it. So I'm going to do exactly the same thing again. Stick it into the embossing stamp. Just build up a nice thickness. Now you could, if you really wanted to, and you didn't like embossing or you haven't got the stuff to emboss, you can use glossy accents for this. I'm not a great fan of glossy accents, if I'm honest with you. It always seems to end up feeling tacky to me. I can't seem to get to the end of the stick on it. So I much prefer this. It's instant. I don't have to have it hanging around, worried I'm going to blinking put my finger in it when I shouldn't. I'll give this a go. These scissors are better for holding it. That's it. Well, it's had 2 coats. You could go on and on and on. Actually, that bit there just looks a little bit undercooked. So I'm just going to... let's just stamp it all again, shall we? Just stamp it all again. If in doubt, stamp it again. This is a bit awkward because of those leaves that are a bit thin, but I think we'll be all right. I guess that most people that are watching this are accomplished embossers. I'm not, so you have to bear with me. But I'm learning because I'm doing loads of it. So what would happen if I picked that up and stuck it down in there? Do you think it would pick any more up? It's possible. Just going to put this away because I have a horrible feeling that if I apply heat to this, I'm just going to end up with one great glossy mess. So it's better if I just put it away every time. Put the lid on it because I'm a bit prone to knocking things over. Right, this is its last time. I don't know how many times you can do this, forever, I guess. There we go. That's my embossed foxglove, and I'm really pleased with it. Actually, it's lovely. So when that cools down a minute, I'm just going to wipe my hands first. I do find that embossing glue, because you push it, if you used it ordinarily and stamp to stamp with it, you'd be fine. But because I'm pushing the foxglove cutout onto it, I get blinking embossing glue everywhere, and then everything sticks. It's a horrible feeling, actually. Right, so here we go. So I want to put that just there, just kind of at an angle like that. I think that will look nice. So I'm going to use Fabri-Tac for this, because some of these were resistant to stick when I did my other one, and no matter what I used, they didn't seem to want to know. Didn't want to play ball. So I'm going to use quite a lot of glue on here. So I've got plenty of glue on there, I think. Let's just hope it wants to stick. So I'm going to put it from the bottom and angle it that way. Right, where's my dry wipe? I'll just switch this off while I carry on sticking these down, because it's a bit boring. Right, I'm back. This is the original one. The other one is actually now sitting with some big fat books on it, just to introduce it to the idea that it wants to stick and stay. So while we're waiting for that, I've got another little bit of embossing. Told you I'm embossing mad, on this back pocket here, and it's that beautiful iris image. That's not the image that we're going to emboss though. What I've done so far is make up this tag. You know how to do that, so you don't need me to show you how to do that. But what I have done is added a couple of the Tim Holtz die cuts from the Wildflower set. This daisy that honestly I use for absolutely everything, and these leaves. And I think once we get those embossed and stuck on, we're going to have the same problem. It needs weight, really, to encourage it. Let's just say encourage, shall we? So get my embossing stuff out again. Now I'm going to colour these. Actually, let's see if I've been using that side. If I had a clean piece of paper, I would show you, but well, doesn't matter. I can use this piece that we used before. That's perfect. That's even better, a white piece, because cream on cream doesn't show up too well. Right, there we are. So I'm going to colour them first. And the colours that I've chosen are, let's see if those are all the ones that I had laid out. Yep, I think so. Distress crayons in Forest Moss and Wild Honey, which is a gorgeous colour. Jane Davenport in Flutter, which is black, and Brassy Locks, which is this quite bright goldy yellow. So to begin with, I'm just going to use the green Distress crayon, and I'm just going to go. That is the thing with these Distress crayons, they do crumble. I'm just going to go down the stem and partly up the leaves. And you might have thought that Inktense was easy. This is even easier. You do not have to be anything like accurate with this. Just, aim your crayon somewhere towards where you want it. And with this leaf, I'm going to do not right to the end with the green. I'm going to do the stem and each sort of leaflet, whatever you want to call it, I don't know what they're called. I'm going to do green kind of halfway up. I believe that Ranger have now brought out some embossing glazes in the distressed range, and they are fantastic because they've got that distress, oh, I can't remember the word anymore, capability of being transparent, and they're fabulous. So you put your colours on, then the embossing glaze comes in all sorts of different colours, but whatever colour it is, you can see through it. And I really feel the need to buy some, I'm afraid. Yeah, my name is Fiona. I'm addicted to buying craft things. But I think with this, if we didn't have clear, we could use, I don't know, like a yellowy colour, like fossilized amber or something, and it would really make them stand out. I think that's what I think. So I'm going to do a similar thing here with these petals. I'm just going to go halfway up with them, like that. And you can see I'm really not being accurate here. A little bit in the middle there. I'm going to come back with my green, do a little bit more on one side of that middle. Then I'm going to use this bright brassy locks, and I'm just going to touch it into the tips. Not too much, I don't want it to look gaudy. Just a little bit. Just on the tips of the petals. Don't need that anymore, I don't think. But possibly down these leaves here, just on the ends. Like we did on the other one, just the ends. Right, then. And I want a little bit of black in that centre, like a poppy would have. But I'll do that after I've moved all this colour around. So I'm using my dry white for this. You can use your finger, but my finger's worn out because I've been doing loads of it. And just meld those together. So push outwards like that, and the green will travel up over the yellow. Don't press so hard and you'll still be left with some yellow there. This dye in particular, don't press too hard because it disintegrates. It's a very thin stem. So you're getting coverage, but I'd say not full coverage, and I like that. The cardstock paper that I cut this out of is cream anyway. So, right, so onto this. Just want to blend this quite well. So there you see the effect that you get, which pleases me. I like it. And then down the leaves as well. And you'll panic at this stage because you'll think it's it's a mess, etc. You can't see it once the embossing powder's on. It looks lovely, and the messier it is, somehow the nicer it is. So I'm just gonna touch in a tiny little bit of black there. Just like sunflowers do have. Not sunflowers, although they do. Sunflowers. Just lovely. Right, let's darken the centre, giving us a bit of interest. Right, so off embossing we go. I should call this video embossing. Embossing and other topics, but there's hardly any other topics. So I'm going to get the lid off my stuff, so I'm ready to rock. press this in as we did before, exactly the same. Press it in quite firmly. Get your powder on it while it's still sticky. It says on this one that it's got a long time. You know, you can faddle around a bit before you need to put the powder on, but I don't know if I believe it or not, so I'm going for it. And then this one, same thing. But really be careful with if you're using this exact dye, because, as I say, it's kind of fragile and it wants to tear on you. You can stick it back together, but it's easier if it doesn't. Honestly, I'm going to have to get some more clear embossing stuff soon. It's ridiculous. Right, let's see if I can find these in here. There we go. The embossing stuff that I'm using is Paper Mania Embossing Powder Clear. And actually, I think it's got a funny smell. Mr. F can't smell it, so it might just be me. But I think it's got a really kind of funny smell. And after I've been using it for a while, I can taste it as well. So perhaps it's one of those things that you ought to use a mask with. I don't know. Seems a bit excessive, doesn't it? Crafting with your mask on. But you know, it's probably better safe than sorry. Right, let's introduce a bit of heat to these and see what happens. Watch the magic. Oh, there we go. Right, I'll probably do one at a time. It's probably easier, isn't it? Oh, we're starting to go. We're going. Come down. There we are. That's the first one. One coat. Really makes them much firmer. Come back. I think tweezers are probably what's required for this job. Right, there we are. So I'm going to do it again. Obviously, 2 coats are better than one. The first coat always, to me, seems to be a bit bumpy. So I'm just going to do those again. But really, oh, they're so lovely. And you know, the colouring that we're fretting about not being exact, etc., it doesn't matter. It looks really good through the embossing. So we've been doing some arty things this week, haven't we? With a decoupage paper yesterday and these today. And foxglove and what have you. I just want to show you that it's all that stuff's really easy, really is. So don't need to be afraid of it. Because let's face it, if it all went hideously wrong, who's going to know? Maybe at the bottom here. Who on earth is going to know? And you know, if you chuck it out, you've wasted that amount of paper. So, you know, not the end of the world. Give it a go. You'll love it. I think I've got embossing powder all over there and I don't want to melt it on. Right, so let's go with the leaf first. Just get that going so it's nice and hot. Lovely, gorgeous. Word of warning, it gets hot. There we go. Let's move that off there before it sticks to it. So there we are. We've got our two absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous flowers to stick over our iris and give a little bit of interest to that tag. I hate that stuff on my hands. It's horrible. Right, so this is the tag that we've completed. Oh, here's Mr. F with my foxgloves. Yeah, they're lovely. Look at that. It's just lifted that whole page, and for, you know, no effort at all, none. So let's move back onto these. Now I'm guessing once I've stuck these on, I'm going to have the same kind of procedure that, you know, they don't want to stick, although these look much flatter than the foxgloves. So the idea is I'm going to put that there, and then I'm going to put this down to the bottom like that and sort of swirl it around. That's the kind of idea, because the stem on this is so thin, it is bendy. So let's put quite a bit of glue on this, and then we can take that away and weight it down. Going to the end of the Fabri-Tac in this bottle. And I really am going to town with it. I'm off to town with my Fabri-Tac. Make sure you get plenty on those tiny little bits. They seem to be the awkward cutters that don't want to stick. Right, hopefully this is going to stay. So I want it about there, quite high up. And there's not so much movement with this stem, it's just a wee bit thicker. So let's do our best to stick that down. That's sticking really nicely. The leaf probably won't stick as nicely because I'm going to have to put it over the top of that. So I'm asking quite a lot of it, but we'll see. We'll see. A big blob of glue on the end, which will do there nicely. I appreciate this isn't very exciting, watching me put glue on the back of these things. But I don't know, I find it quite cathartic in a way. Don't know why. I don't know why, but I do. So I hope you're going to have a go at colouring some die cuts in. I've shown you, over the weeks, I've shown you quite a few ways to do it. So there's no excuse for having plain die cuts, unless you want them plain. And there's nothing wrong with that either. Use patterned paper and you'll get some lovely die cuts. Right, let's see if we can get this to stick down. So I want that right at the bottom, and I want it curling over there like that. It's doing all right, you know, it's doing all right. Why wouldn't it? It's got half a bottle of Fabri-Tac on it. There we are. I think I'd still be inclined to put some weight on it, to be honest with you. But it looks nice, doesn't it? Can you see it glinting? So that's that done. Now it's just the top bit, and what I did for that was I used a little label, die cut label, this one in fact, and what did I do to it? Did I ink around it? No. I just got an Edith word, and I haven't selected an Edith word, so let's see if I've got one. I've always got Edith stuff kicking around my desk. Well, that says the country. That's quite nice. Nothing wrong with that. So I'm just going to use my wavy edged scissors. And then you can use a tear ruler or tear it even, you know. Don't forget the old ways are often the best. So just tear it if you haven't got any of these fancy gadgets. Right, so that says the country. Let's see if that fits on there. It needs just a whisker taken off it. Yeah, lovely. So I am going to ink around here though. As little as it is, it will make a difference. Well, this is coming towards the end of October now here in Northern England, and I can tell you that the weather has turned, and it looks really and feels really, well, back end, as my mother used to say, back end of the year. So that's that, just stick that on. Any Edith word will do. It's more the font really than what it says. But that says the country and I quite like that. So we're going to do the same again. Let's put the lid on all my glues. These little bottles are great. Lynn Whitman gifted them to me. They're fabulous. So we're going to just emboss that, because honestly, why wouldn't we? Tip some stuff on it. I mean, of course you'd emboss it. Dip it back in the pot. I'm going to put the lid on, even though I'm going to need it again in a second, because I can just see some calamitous thing happening. I'm going to hold it by that end. Right, that definitely needs doing again. It has finally gone shiny, but needs another go. So I had loads of stuff planned for us today. I've prepped for Britain, but I don't think we're going to get time to do them all today. So a bit more glue, a bit more glass. This is the last embossing for today. Definitely. That's it, it's gone nice and shiny. That's all anybody can ask for. Let me just wipe my hands once again, because I could emboss my own hands actually at the moment if I could stand the heat. It's quite a funny thought. Right, so what I did with this was I just put 2 holes in, tied a nice bow with that green gingham, and attached the chaffinch, which is now says the country, sign onto it with a bulb clip. So, what am I looking? What am I even looking for? Oh yeah, green gingham, which I don't think I left out. Oh, well, let's use something else. Let's use some green seam binding. I've got a little bit of that somewhere. Oh, I have to open the new one. I'm going to open the darker one actually. This one, this colour. I get these from a lady on eBay, and they always come really nicely wrapped up. So you don't need very much. I need to put my holes in first though, that would be a good idea, wouldn't it? So I'm just going to line that up on the cutting board, make my mark where I want my holes to go. So I don't want a really big bow, so I'm going to do it there and there. Is that central? I don't think so. I don't think it's anywhere near central. Let's get rid of them, start again. Right, so that's the centre, so there and there. That's a better attempt. Get my crocodile. And once again, I'm not going to put grommets in this. It's not really going to have any wear, you know, so I don't think it's entirely necessary. Right, so I'm going to pop this through from the front to the back, and then back from the back to the front, like so, and just leave enough so you can tie a bow. I might have too much there. Oh. I don't get on very well with bows. I don't, because I'm left-handed or whatever. Even when I watch myself tie a bow, I think, blimey, that looks a bit dodgy. Right, there we are. I don't want the biggest bow in the world, to be honest, but that's nice. I like that. Yeah, good. Pop that off. Just a touch too long. Pop that back in my box of such things. Right, so all I need to do now is get my bulb clip and put the little label on it, pop that through the bow, these aren't the sharpest, are they? I don't know if anybody else has noticed that, but they really are not the sharpest things, not the sharpest knife in the drawer. I think I'm there now, maybe. Come on. So, there we are. That looks nice, doesn't it? Looks every bit as nice as the gingham one, I think. So we've got chaffinch and the country. And they've both got embossed flowers on, they've both got the flag irises on. Lovely. So, the green gingham one is the one that I'd already done. So that goes down into there. Now then, this goes on the back, but we haven't got a pocket for it yet, so we need to attend to that. just going to wash my hands. I'll be back in a sec. Right, so I've washed my hands, not sticking to everything. So this is the pocket that I made for our iris. Now, I've used the paper the other way round for this one. So I've got the dog roses on the inside. On this one, the dog roses are on the outside. So for this one, I had the dog roses there. And for this one, I'm going to use it like that. So I've got opposites, other side of the paper. And I've cut it out, I've sewn around it, I've inked around it, and literally all I'm going to do is stick it on. So, Aileen's will be amply sufficient. Then we've got a bit of a belly band, tummy tuck situation going on. And I think that's probably all we'll get done today. Like I said before, if you want to join in the fun on the Facebook group, then by all means do so. It's Miss Paint-A-Lot's junk journal group. It's good fun in there, to be honest with you. Some good people. So stick that down good and firm. And open that up. I don't know what's with the glues today, that they don't want to be sticky. There we go. So I just need something on that pocket, and what I chose for this one was the little birds, which is a real Edith Holden image. Definitely is. You know, we all associate those little blue tits and coal tits and whatever they are with Edith. So I'm just checking that that's the only one I've got. I think it is. So I'm going to pop that there. I'm going to ink around it first, just to get rid of the white from where I fussy cut it. I don't want to ink the birds particularly, I just want to catch that edge. There we go, so they get stuck on there. Lovely. So pop them there. Now then, they look gorgeous there, but in the book they're sitting on the snow, so you can't actually see their feet. So they don't have feet, and they do look a bit bizarre actually, sat there. So what I'm going to do is just ground them a little bit. And I'm just going to use my Inktense again, and I'm going to use the colour Bark and Willow, and just right up next to them I'm just going to put a black line. So I'm just going to provide really a shadow for them, so it looks like they're sitting on something. I'm just going to get my water pen and pull that out a little bit, that shadow. Just so they look grounded, because otherwise they look really strange. I don't think I need any more than that actually. I was going to use a lighter colour, but I think that's sufficient. Right, so that's that. Hopefully that's stuck. That goes into there. Everybody's happy. Amazing. So we've done that and we've done that. And the other thing that we're going to do... Oh, I've just found another bird. I don't think I've got room for him, have I? He looks a bit daft there. I just like that. is the first flap on the inside. I'm pretty sure I've got embossing powder over there. I'm getting a phobia about it now. Is just a straightforward belly band, or tummy tuck as we call them in the group. And I'm going to use this side of the paper, not the dog rose side. You could use either side, it's entirely up to you. I just like a little bit of contrast. So I'm going to just put a bit of double-sided top and bottom there. Just burnish them on a little bit, otherwise it makes getting the paper off the back difficult. And I just want to measure it in from the edge, so I'll make sure that I get it straight when I'm putting it on. I'm pretty sure I put the last one on at 1 3/4 inches. So let's go for that again, 1 3/4 inches from the edge, not the sewing, the edge, so that's there. Just in ever so slightly from the top and the bottom. I mean, like a mill. So there we are, that's nicely stuck down. And then all I need now is to stick my frill, my ruffle, my gather on there. And it's just so pretty, that fabric, it's gorgeous. So I'm just going to put a piece of double-sided down there. It's the quickest and most convenient way of doing it, I think. And it works, which is always good. That's not very straight, but it doesn't matter. It's just a very thin cotton ruffle. That'll be fine. There we are. So, which is the right? This is the right side. So just hold it quite taut, but not pulling it. Put it centrally on the belly band, and then just squish it down. Lovely, lovely job. Take the scissors and chop it off. And I'm just going to put a little drop of Fabri-Tac over the stitches at the top, because they aren't locked, it's just a piece of a strip. So just a little bit of Fabri-Tac there and a little bit at the bottom, just to save those stitches coming undone. And then inside there we're going to put the paper that we made yesterday. Well, I say yesterday, I don't know when you watched the video. But I've got several sheets of paper actually. I just want 2, so I'll select the nicest 2. These 2 probably with the stamp on, I think. No, I'll leave that one. That was the brown one. That was the one that was already coffee stained. So these 2 are more of a match. So I'll fold those in half. They do look lovely, these papers. If you missed the video, there is a video on how to do this from start to finish, and it is, once again I'll say it, it's much easier than you think it's going to be. Might be a little bit messy, but it's fun. So just fold those up and they go into the envelope, which has even got a bit of decoupage on the back. And this is, I'm just going to go over this with my bone folder, because when you wet the envelope, it seems to lose all common sense and it forgets it's an envelope, so it doesn't like folding where it should fold. So just use your bone folder and I've decorated that envelope too to go with them, so it's a really nice set, and that just slides in there perfectly like so. So there we are. Well, we've covered a fair bit of ground today. I'm really pleased with what we've got done. This is the front that we did from start to finish. Those foxgloves are really, really nice. Then we moved on to the back. We made the big tag, the birds, embossed that and that, really, really nice. And then inside we've put the tummy tuck with the decorated papers and envelopes. So we're getting there. We're getting there. And I'll finish that off in a few days, and I'll post the video up so you can join along if you want to, or just watch and have a laugh. Okay guys, thanks for joining me. Bye.